Hi friends, thank you so much for joining with me. I woke up super early today because we initially had a lunch plan that fell through, so I have plenty of time to film now. Today I want to share with you my January favorites, and my makeup philosophy for the new year 2022 is minimalist and light makeup, so more of a light neutral makeup, and I feel it's the kind of overall tone in the whole makeup atmosphere right now as well. I've seen on M Cosmetics, she just came out with this beautiful neutral tone eyeshadow palette. I grabbed one, and also face palette as well. So I got the lightest shade, but I just feel overall for the new year, I just want something lightweight, natural, something that just shows my own skin and just enhances my overall makeup look. And these are the products that I've really been loving in the month of January, and I think they're going to prolong throughout the year as well, only because part of my minimalist challenge or kind of goal is to just keep using the products I've been loving, which is something that I haven't been doing for the longest time, because I feel once you get into the whole makeup market, and especially if you're filming and sharing your opinions, you just want to get more and more items, and you always want that pinnacle. You always feel like there is the best item out there and you can never grab it, whereas more often than not, those best products are just right in front of you at home. So that's what I want to achieve in this year. Just keep on using the products that have been working for me, that I have been loving. And so I'm really hoping that majority of these products will last me throughout this year. So I'll be sharing with you guys them right now. Starting off always with my naked face, and I'm first going to go in with concealer. This is the Dior Forever Skin Corrector, and I have two different shades here, in 00 and in 0N. I like to mix them two together and focus these particularly on the hollows of my face, so around the nose here and also mouth. Just areas where there is this downward shadow, I like to use these two, because this concealer has pretty good coverage and also it grips onto the skin, so that if I start off with this concealer first and then go in with foundation later, it wouldn't take away the position and also the coverage of this concealer. And I like to mix the two shades together to make this shade, and that's because 0N is my absolute perfect match, but because these areas need a bit of brightening to bring out these shadows, I like to mix in with 00 to brighten it up. And as mentioned before, I'm going with a very light layer. Also, I've been starting to apply it below the lips right here. I'm not sure what's the difference in skin tone down there, but it's always redder compared to the other areas of my face. And the reason I put it just below the lips right here, and that's because I just find it harder for foundations to kind of cling on to that area. So it just really helps to have concealer down first. It covers the redness, and also if later on the foundation doesn't cover, the concealer will provide that. Following on for my under eyes, using the Becca light to medium brightening corrector, and I'm going to be using my pinky because that's the smallest surface area. I'm going to be focusing this just on the under eyes, on this corner right here, using the ring finger to blend it out. For foundation, I've been reaching for this so much. This is the Chanel number 1 de Chanel. The shade I have here is in BD01, the lightest shade I believe in the range, and I've been loving this foundation so much. Basically, this just gives you a really beautiful, even brightened complexion to the skin with the lightest amount as well. The feel on the skin is absolutely nothing. I've slept with this foundation probably twice already because I just feel this foundation is so thin to the point that it just doesn't cause any kind of pressure on the face. The finish it also gives to the skin is absolutely beautiful. It's a really natural and a little bit of glowiness. But what I love about this foundation the most, and I talked about before, is the brightening aspect. So because my skin is a little bit sallow, you guys would have seen before, just with this foundation, it's able to wake up my skin. The application, you guys can see, it's so easy. Just tapping and swiping. This foundation is just so good. Whenever I have it on, it just gives my overall aura this lifted energy. It definitely boosts my confidence because you see right now my complexion is just lifted and brightened and wakened up. And that's basically what I want a foundation to do, because going with the whole minimalist theme and also light coverage, I want something that doesn't feel like anything on the skin, but at the same time is giving me this overall shining from within, awakened look. And this foundation does that perfectly. So I can't imagine putting this foundation down this year. And finally, for my little blemish friends, using my Ere Perez Arnica concealer. Just gonna tap it on here. For cream blush, I've been reaching for this one so much. This is the Rosy Ink blush in the shade Heliotrope. I've been loving this one for the shade and also for the formulation. So the shade of this one is this perfect nudie rose shade, like this. And also the pigmentation on the skin, it's really beautiful because it's not heavily pigmented, so it's easy for me to control. And all I do is I just tap it to the very highest point of my cheeks. And this again will give your face a overall lifted look. And I've been focusing my blush towards the outer portion of my face as well to blend in with my bronzer more smoothly. And with this shade, it's just this beautiful flush. It's a very natural look. Heliotrope is the shade, but today when I go out, I'm thinking of getting Ophelia, which is a true pink. It's a gorgeous cream feel and it just blends into the skin so beautifully. The pigmentation is not too harsh. I said before, super easy to control, and this shade alone, it's this beautiful, beautiful natural flush. Going in with bronzer, and I'm still using this one by Westman Atelier. This is the shade Biscuit. It's just the perfect formulation and shade for me. Just two little swipes. It's the easiest bronzer I've came across. And with bronzers, I haven't talked about this brush much, but I've been using this brush exclusively for my bronzers for the past year, and this is the Sephora brush in 47, and I've been loving this for bronzer because of the shape. Basically, I just go in and blend it upwards like this. Moving on to highlight, I have these two, but I haven't really settled on a favorite yet, so I won't be talking about it too much. The first one is the Westman Atelier highlighting stick in the shade Nectar, And then this one is the Chanel highlighting stick in the shade Sculpting. And the main difference between these two, because honestly they're very similar, they give a very nice glossy finish to the skin, water-like glossy finish. But the only difference is the Chanel one is a little bit more sparkly compared to the Westman Atelier one, but sparkly in a shade that it's more highlighted sparkle, so it's not big chunky glitter sparkle. I think I'm going to be using the Chanel. And what I do with these highlighter sticks in particular is just going with my fingers like that. Make sure it's all blended and also melted in on my skin before I apply it, so that it doesn't disturb the foundation and blush that's underneath. The highlight just gives it a really nice glowy sheen on the face. Before I set my face, I nearly forgot, I'm going to be using a very tiny amount of the Fenty Matchstick in the shade Amber, just to the side of my nose to contour it a bit. And again, I'm using my pinky here. Still need to set my face with a little bit of powder. For my under eyes, I'm going to use the McGrath powder in the shade Light. Finally, for powder, my trusty Clé de Peau loose setting powder. For powder placement, avoid areas where you want that natural glisten and shine to come through, especially where I applied the highlight. I would avoid that because we've applied that glossy highlight already, and going on with the powder is just going to diminish it. Because of the blush, I lost a little bit of pigmentation on my cheeks. No matter, I'm going to go in with a newly discovered blush. This is also newly released as well by SUQQU. The shade I have here is in 04, and it's this beautiful, once again, natural blush rosy shade. This one translates a little bit warm on my skin, but just on top there will again bring out this beautiful color on my cheeks, but at the same time still retain the shine. I believe the description of this blush was powder to cream. So even though it is a powder when you first apply it, but just looking at it, it still gives you this beautiful radiance on the skin, so it doesn't take away the shine at all. I also have the shade 1 here, so that's 1 and 4. You can see 4 is definitely a really warm orangey blush shade with a sheen, but no sparkles, just the sheen. There's a swatch of it on my hand. Number 1 is that unique lavender highlight shade that's been really popular in Japan. And just a little secret, I also got number 2, which is a true pink color. If you were interested on how the Chanel Baume and also Westman Atelier highlighting stick compare, so the top one is the Chanel Sculpting and the bottom one is Nector. The finish is very similar, how it gives you this watery glow, but the Chanel one is definitely more cooler and pinky in shade. Nectar is a little bit more warmer and peachy. Going to do my brows, and I'm still using the Anastasia Brow Wiz. It's the same procedure, so I won't take up your time. Brows are done and I've already primed my eyes. Starting the eyeshadow, I'm going to be using this shade. This is not an eyeshadow shade, but I've been just loving the tone of this. This is the Surrat face or blush shade in Grisaille Antique Blush. I've been just loving this to create an overall base for my eyeshadow. It's the perfect bronzy contour shade. It's really, really cool. When I have this on, I just imagine if I were to have a natural crease on my eye, this would be what it will look like. I've been dabbling back into cream eyeshadows recently, and I've been really liking this one. I feel bad for taking it out because I do believe this is a limited edition from quite a while back. This is the Tom Ford Cream and Powder Eye Duo in the shade Young and Donious. And it's this gorgeous, gorgeous taupey shimmery shade at the bottom, which is the cream. And at the top, which I believe I do have a dupe for, is this sparkly shade, sparkly topper shade. But if you don't have this one, I've been also loving the Fenty Beauty. This is How Many Carats Diamond Bomb. This is also a beautiful topper shade for the eyes because it gives you this celestial color because of all the diamond sparkles in here. So today, without tempting you guys too much, I'm going to be using the cream in here because the cream of this one, it's just, I can't find anything alike to it at the moment. So today I won't be tempting you guys with the topper in the Tom Ford. Here is a swatch of it. This is the Fenty Beauty and this one is the Tom Ford. The overall tone is where the difference is at. So that's the Fenty and that is the Tom Ford. The finish is very, very similar, but it's just the tone. How the Fenty is much more cooler and the Tom Ford is a bit more peachy and neutral in tone. But for the cream eyeshadow in here, I just can't find anything similar. In terms of formulation, if you want a similar formula, the current Tom Ford cream color for eyes is practically the same formulation. The shade I have here is in Platinum, which looks like this, but I'll swatch these two side by side. So that is the Tom Ford Young and Donious, and that is Platinum. Platinum is definitely more darker and more warmer, and Young and Donious, it's this gorgeous taupey shade. And you guys can see there is sparkle in there as well. Just applying this to the center of the lid space and also to the inner as well. And I love how this shade just gives your eyes a very sophisticated finish because the color is so muted and toned down, but because of the sparkles in there and how Tom Ford have formulated this shade to be this just perfect taupey shade, it looks like it's nothing much on the eyes, but at the same time it just looks elevated. Just gives me a expensive feel. Now is the exciting part where I put on the topper sparkles. The eyes are very sparkly right now and I want to tone it down a little bit with the eyeliner. I've been focusing the eyeliner very, very close to the lash line and only on the outer half. Then using a very, very fine pencil brush like this to blend it out. When you go to the outer corners here, use it to create a wing. Top my eyes off with some mascara. For lips, I haven't been putting on too much color, only because we've been living in mask and I've been just putting on a moisturizing lip balm. But if I were to play around with color, I've newly discovered these lipsticks from, you guys can see the packaging is just gorgeous, but these are the Olivia Palermo lipsticks. I have 3 shades here because when I initially put in the order, all of the shades, I believe there was only 4. All of the shades was beautiful and it was so hard for me to pick, hence why I picked up 3. I have the swatches on my finger here because my hand is used up right here. And also another thing is, I'm not sure if you guys know, but using your fingertips to swatch lipstick shade is actually a truer kind of representation of how the lipstick will show up on your lips, because your fingertips have more pigmentation and it looks, the pigmentation of your fingertips is closer to your lips. So it gives you a truer representation of how it will look. This one is Runway Rouge, this one is Poppy, and this one is Santa Fe. I'm going to be using this one and Poppy today. The feel of these lipstick on the lips is really, really nourishing. Very, very similar to the Victoria Beckham lipsticks on the lips. So it's ultra moisturizing. And at the same time, it gives you that pop of color. I'm going to be using, as I said before, Santa Fe and also Poppy. The difference between these and the Victoria Beckham is this one is a little bit more matte compared to the Victoria Beckham, because Victoria Beckham, when you have it on the lips, it looks like a glossy finish almost, because it's ultra moisturizing. These ones is more of a lipstick look. But the overall feel, it's really comfortable. So, as I mentioned before, I do have really fussy lips, but these ones just feels perfectly on. Santa Fe is almost a my lips, but even look. Poppy is definitely the highlight of this look. And applying this to the center. As a last step, and to give myself more of a luxurious finish, I'm going to use the Chanel de No. 1 Serum in Mist, and this is a shaker. This is just a luxurious setting spray, but in saying that, the mister on this is ultra fine, and the overall look on the skin is just beautiful because it melds everything together so perfectly. And because this formulation has that separation with the oil on top and the formula down here, so it does give you that glowy finish to the skin. The smell is absolutely gorgeous as well. And that's my makeup favorites for the month of January. Thank you so much for keeping me company. If you have questions on any one of the products today, please leave them down below. If you found this video helpful and if you'd like to support me, please do like and subscribe down below as well. Thank you guys so much, and until next time, stay beautiful and stay positive. Bye.